Welcome back, community, to another Keeping It Real conversation with Dr. Nita. I am your host, Dr. Nita Polite Wilson, C-Suite Trusted Advisor and Board Director, helping members of the C-Suite community reframe diversity conversations from difficult to different. I am back for the last in our conversations with Ms. Kelli Kirkland. And Kelli, we're just going to pick right up from where we left off, talking about honest living and what that means. Right now, we're talking about becoming comfortable with discomfort. That's something that my clients hear me say all the time. I need you to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's through the discomfort that we grow and discover some things about ourselves. And just recently, I was having a conversation with a gentleman who is the diversity director for an organization that is primarily white males. And again, we were having this conversation about white males, and I'm not trying to generalize, but what we're seeing is white males are still having a challenge with diversity in terms of, am I losing my piece of the pie versus seeing it from making the pie larger so that everyone gets a piece. So when we talk about becoming comfortable with discomfort, Kelli, what comes to mind for you? It seems to be a power struggle in this most base terms.
It really does seem to be a power struggle. And I guess I have two questions. I don't know that we can answer them today, but one is, where does this desperate need to be comfortable come from for some people? Mm-hmm. I mean, people say it to me and I'm like, I'm uncomfortable every day. I'm Black in America.
Well,
if I held my breath waiting to be comfortable, I would get nothing done. I can't live life waiting to be comfortable at work, at the grocery store, when people think I'm trying to steal in Bloomingdale's. I'm not comfortable half the time.
You've had that happen to you too?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, I got stopped at the grocery store accused of stealing soda. And it's why I taught my son, you have to have a receipt because they're going to assume you stole something. Yes, the guy hadn't realized I had done two different transactions at the self-check because one thing I was getting for my mother and one thing was for me, and I wanted the receipts separate anyway. But, that I got followed out. And what really hit me, Dr. Anita, was I'm coming out of the store with my groceries, and two white ladies are yelling at me. Security is after you. Security is coming. You need to turn back around. Security. And I'm like, I kept going. I was like, I know.
Right. I got my receipts. They can't be yelling at me, right? Yeah.
And they were right. And so that already irritated me that these two white ladies are yelling at me. I need to go to security. I'm like, no, ma'am, I don't. And the security guy came and it was a whole thing. And then I showed him the receipt and he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. And he walked back into the store like no big deal. And I almost got in my car and I said, no, I have to go in and I have to talk to the manager.
Absolutely, because
but I went in and that's what I spoke to. And there was a woman there who was a cashier who sees me. I go to the same grocery store twice a week.
Right.
I ended up in tears. Full grown woman, top of my game at a Fortune 500 company, doing everything the world told me to do. Get a college education, get a great job, live a great life, live in a great neighborhood, do all this stuff, do everything right, Kelli, and everything will be okay for you. And I can't even go to my local grocery store in this day and age in 2022 and just go buy my things without being harassed. And he did harass me. I'm not going to get into the whole thing because I'll be in tears again. But in the moment of talking to the manager of the store and the cashier, and she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to you. You're here all the time. What? And I explained to the manager, I said, you have to have, what is your policy that your employees can just do this and humiliate someone like this? What is his foundation for even following me out of the store and treating me that way and having these other women yell at me? Because apparently he told them, catch her.
Oh, my
God. Well, I told them to get you because he couldn't go fast enough. I was like, what? Anyway, I'm sorry. I know I'm derailing this conversation now, but the point is.
No. I don't want to move forward from this. I don't. And here's why. Because it's true. It's true. I had a similar situation with a high-end store in Fashion Island. And the way the situation ended, I had to talk to leadership and say, I don't understand. I'm coming here all the time. I don't dress like I'm off the street. I have a receipt. I'm making an exchange. Why is it that I'm being harassed and questioned about what I'm doing, but a white woman cannot come in here with a messy bun, no makeup, sweats, and nobody think twice about it? I had to go through the same thing.
And it's the way in which
it goes back to being Black in America. I just read something about a woman, a 70-year-old woman who went to the casino, Black woman, went to the casino, got a big payout. She went to take the check to cash it. One clerk said, no, ma'am, this can't be a real check. A second clerk came out and said, no, ma'am, this can't be a real check. The third clerk came out and took this woman's check,
Mm.
took her check. The check had the name of the casino, what it was for, had her name on it. It goes to living while being Black.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to move from this space because these are the things that we go through on a regular basis.
And
On a
these are the
regular
things
basis.
that we come into the workplace with on the regular basis.
Absolutely. And here's the part about the workforce, and then I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead.
For some people and their families, and now I'm just talking about everybody in general, we don't know what kind of dysfunction and distrust is at home. Do we really have to replicate that kind of thing in the workplace?
Right.
For
Right.
some people, the workplace is
It's
the
a safe
safest
place.
place they've got in their lives. Now, I'm not asking managers to become psychologists, psychiatrists. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is do the right thing and let it not be relative to, well, I'm going to do the right thing for people that look like me and not for people who don't.
Right. Right. Creating a safe space. It's
Safe space.
at the end of the day, it's going to be better business wise for your bottom dollar for all the people that are worried about their money.
How many times do we have to say that, Kelli? How many times do we have to reference studies that say a diverse workforce, diverse solutions impact the bottom line? And yet people, going back to being in power versus empowering, people don't want to let go of that sense of power.
Right. But the more, and I find that the more you empower people, one, the more power you have, because then people will do anything for you.
There it is.
I'm like, why do these leaders not understand? Don't be scared of your power being gone. You can't be more powerful than having a team of people who would like do anything because you have made them feel so safe and so empowered and so good. And they're going to be on your side no matter what. They've got your front, your back, your top, your bottom. It makes no sense for people to always be worrying about their power being shaken. I'm like, your power isn't sturdy as it is because your foundation is unstable.
That's right.
So why don't you realize that?
Yeah.
Just the CEO or whatever letters are behind or in front of your name, that's not the power. The power is the people. It's old. I think it was Ford, I think it was, that did the people over process, about how Ford became a huge corporation and their sort of process. And they had spent so much time focusing on the process. And when they really started making money is when they shifted and said, no, the people have to come first. Mm-hmm. Because the people are what fuel our process. And they completely changed. It was Toyota or Ford, I can't remember which one. I think it
was Ford.
Completely changed how they did their global business operation because they started understanding the people have to be the foundation. Mm-hmm. So this I&D work, diversity, equity, inclusion, all of the different work we do, these aren't like buzzwords to just like be trendy and they can be treated as such, which is a shame. Mm-hmm. But I tell those key stakeholders, I'm like, if you want to really focus on your bottom dollar, you can get the most out of employees who give a damn. So why don't you treat them like you care? And your bottom dollar is going to see the benefit. Even if you don't really care about them. It's going to be.
That message has not been resonating. So what do we need to say differently, Kelli? What are the magic words?
I think the magic word, I wish I had a magic word, but I think this is the only thing that has helped me is when I have been able to have, never in group conversations, but in one-on-one real conversations with leaders and share with them my very personal experiences. Yeah. After they know me and it resonates with them in a different way. And there's something about that one-on-one conversation in a quiet space where it's not about being seen, anyone being embarrassed, whatever. It is about me being brave enough to present my most vulnerable selves. Those are the only times that I have actually seen effective change. It shouldn't take me to be that vulnerable. I shouldn't have to be. Mm-hmm. But I think to myself, if no one does it, we're just going to keep on in this cycle. And I have enough battle wounds that I'm okay. And I feel like I'm sort of fighting for that next group that comes behind me. So I'm happy to do it. And my bosses and leaders are kind of in shock when I tell them some of the situations. They can't believe it. And I go, you watch the news and think that's happening to other people. No. It's happening to me.
That's right.
It's happening to me. It's happening to my Black son. Yeah. Who every minute that I'm at this job, I have to worry until he gets back in my door at night. I have to worry the whole time. Not because I'm not worried about him kissing some girl or doing something. I'm worried that he gets home alive. And that's not a joke. And so I bring all this into the workplace. I'll tell you just a story really quickly about going into work after I'd gone into little CVS. I don't know if everyone has that, but like a little drugstore, Rite Aid, a CVS. My son wanted some Gatorade for school. And so and I often let him go in. He's old enough, he can go in himself. And for whatever reason, God led me to go in that day. And the long and the short of it is, as we're checking out, a young black man with darker skin comes in, is sort of like catapulted in as a white man. It's pushing him in, has a empty glass bottle in his hand, and is screaming the N-word and screaming all sorts of things at this young boy who, like my son, is just coming in before school to buy something, clean cut, in a school uniform, like not, we're in a safe neighborhood, broad daylight. And we're horrified. So I, along with another coworker and this sweet white lady who had her baby strapped in her baby Bjorn and her little must have been maybe 3 at the most. Like, it took the 3 of us women to get in the way and stop this from happening. And the store clerk said, "I'm going to call the police." And the white lady and I both went, "No, not in this neighborhood. You don't call the police on this." No, because we know it's going to happen. And we got the other young man. We're like, "Please let him go sit in the back of the store with someone so we can call his parents." Like, we got it all situated. Then we said, "You can call the police." Anyway, my son went through that whole experience. We got in the car. We're upset. He's still got to get to school. I said, "Do you want to go? You don't have to go today if you don't want to." It was very upsetting to see that sort of level of violence. I didn't even get into the details right now. And he said, "No, I need to go to school. I need to go to school." I said, "Okay, well, I'll let the school know something happened. And if any issues come up, if you get sad, if you get worried, just go to the office. Ms. Kablitz will call me." And I go to work and I'm in a meeting and somebody comments that I wasn't as jovial as normal and said, "What happened, Kelli? You get up on the wrong side of the bed this morning? Ha, 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 ha." That person didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But people never mean anything.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you don't do harm.
Yeah.
And I shared that story with one of my leaders and said, in the moment, all I could do was just giggle. Because if I spoke, all I would do was cry.
I know.
But I still got to do my job.
I know.
I got to show up and focus and deliver this money for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I'm tasked to do, to bring that excellence.
Yeah.
But I can't stop thinking about my son. And so people make casual comments and say things that they just don't know. And so I said, if what we can do is create a space where, one, someone didn't just say that so cavalierly, or at least if they did, that I felt comfortable enough to share my truth in that moment. That's the kind of space I want to work in. I actually would like to share that with the team and like for them to know when I come in and I'm not as chatty, something has happened. Mm-hmm. Because something happens almost every day. I don't tell you, I don't cry at work. I don't do that because I've just got to get the job done. But trust me, I smile all the time to make you all feel comfortable. Yeah. But sometimes I'm breaking on the inside. I know. And I just need people to understand that.
Kelli, I want to thank you so much for your time, for sharing yourself with me and my audience this month. This has been powerful, and I get what you're saying. It wasn't too long ago that I was sharing in a workshop that while I'm asking the participants to be vulnerable, I'm being vulnerable too.
Yes, indeed.
And the leader said, "Well, yeah, I get what you mean, because we've never seen you before. You just came out here on recommendation. There's 20 people in the room. And if this sucks, you're going to get 20 bad reviews." And I said, "No, that's not what I was thinking. What I was thinking was I'm being vulnerable because even though I've been doing this for years and I'm skilled and I'm gifted at what I do, if for whatever reason someone gets triggered, I need to be able to manage that. Even though I know the design that I've created and the plan that I have, if it goes in a different direction, I have to pivot, which I do." So when I talk about being vulnerable, it's being vulnerable because even though it played this way with that group, it's going to play differently with any group because it's a new group of people. But the other part of my vulnerability is if I hear about a situation or if I see something on the news, like when the war broke out and Black students were trying to get on a train to go home, but they were told they couldn't get on the train. Meanwhile, white people were being ushered onto the train.
Yep.
At that point, it wasn't about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It was about the ability to save one's life as a fellow human being.
Yeah.
If I see something like that and then have to show up and process for other people, I'm being vulnerable. And so to your point, sometimes just being who I am, showing up in the skin that I show up in, there's a whole lot of dynamics that you just can't share, but you wish people would be sensitive enough to say, oh yeah, I heard about what just happened. I wonder how
Right.
this is, right?
Right.
And that goes back to the honest living that we talked about, the honest conversations that we talked about, all the way back to our very first conversation where a woman who was so excited about Genius Kids Club couldn't believe that you were the teacher, was offended that you were the owner. This conversation has been absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you again for being your authentic, amazing self. Community.
Thank you so much for having me. What a joy, a pleasure, and an honor to connect with you. And I hope to do it again because it's just wonderful to share this community with you and your listeners.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kelli. Community, I really hope that you're blessed by this conversation. More importantly, I hope that this conversation over the course of these 4 weeks has got you to think about how you can invite participation in similar conversations, how you can investigate your own perceptions, and how you can be willing to integrate perspectives so that we can have a well-rounded view of the fact that these diversity conversations don't have to be difficult, but they're absolutely different and complex, just like the people in your workforce. If you want to see this particular conversation again, and I hope you do, along with the 3 previous conversations, you know what to do by now. www.drnita.com. Click on the link at the top, Keeping It Real podcast with Dr. Nita. And in the meantime, please share this conversation with others. I really hope you will. Like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Dr. Nita reminding you to stay blessed and by all means, remember to keep it real.